All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining today's webinar. We're going to review the Army MAP solicitation, talk about the current events that have occurred with the life of this solicitation, including from the draft RFP release, the recent industry day, and what we know, which hopefully will help us and help you prep for a winning proposal. My name is Bill Shalik. I'm the president and a partner of OST Global Solutions. I have on with us Sophia Velasquez, who is one of our executives, our chief of staff. Our team will be fielding questions, and we welcome you asking questions throughout. Please just put them in the chat. And if there's something that you ask that we need to do some research on, we'll let you know and we'll get back to you. Saying that, let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to share a little bit about OST. We're going to give you a general overview for maps. We're going to talk about items of interest that are associated with this solicitation, specifically with the business and domains, the scorecard, which is going to be very critical. This is going to be a repeat message that you will hear from me. If you can't have a winning score or a competitive score, it's going to be something that you're not going to be able to proceed with. What proposal and teaming requirements look like, and then some takeaways. In addition, from a previous webinar, I'm going to share the other top 6 solicitations that are in process of being released, or in process, actually. One of them is Oasis Plus, and then how we might be able to help you with your business development objectives, including with maps. For OST, a little bit about us. We're one of the few companies, if not the only company, that specializes in business development education, pipeline services, where we help our clients identify, manage their pipelines and schedules, qualify those opportunities, and help you get to gates 3 and 4 for bid, no bid, high P-win. We have, and that is our GovCon Catalyst monthly retainer services. And then we help you with cradle to grave capture through post-proposal delivery for T&M labor categories and professionals, for writing, management, cost pricing, graphics, desktop publishing. Pretty much if it's a business development labor category, we support it. All right, so let's jump into the solicitation, what's known to us, what's being advertised right now and through SAM.gov, GovWin, etc. We know that this is coming through Army, through CCOM. It's a $50 billion solicitation. This is actually the consolidation of RS3 and ITES or ITES-3S. And of interest is that with those 2 contracts that are most likely going to be retired or integrated into maps, there were 400 incumbents associated with those 2 solicitations or contracts. And in this situation, the government is making sure to put a heavy emphasis on small business, giving small businesses a chance to participate more so than what was associated with RS3 and ITES-3S. The industry day stated that the final RFP would be released on February 2nd. That did not occur. We are now hearing that it's going to be the beginning of Q2, maybe as early as the first week of April. There have been a lot of great questions that have been provided to the government, and they are taking notice and want to make sure that they're sculpting the final RFP so that it defines and gives all the information that's going to be needed, hopefully to avoid protests and helping people provide a winning solicitation. If you're not aware, you can go onto the Army Maps portal and you can ask questions still. They're accepting them and they're responding pretty quickly. As of that industry day, the proposals are due March 4th. Expected awards are June 2026. We think this is going to slide, obviously, based on the fact that the solicitation or the final RFP won't be out until April. More to come on that. We'll be providing updates as we learn them, including through our newsletters. You are always welcome to reach out to us for additional information or schedule meetings, including with me, so that we can talk about maps and how it aligns with your company and how we might be able to help you determine if this is a good solicitation to target. So this is a multiple award IDIQ. They're looking at providing about 250 awards, 50 per domain, and it's going to be 5-year base with 5 1-year options, so 10 years total. It is definitely one of the more all-inclusive solicitations. You could see from the pools, small business, women-owned, service disabled, 8A and hub zone, as well as large business and commercial. We have yet to really have very much in the way of interaction or conversation around the commercial piece, but we welcome that. We are aware of what those requirements are. This presentation will primarily focus on the small business pools, set-asides, and large business. But again, if there is an interest, please feel free to reach out or ask your questions in this presentation. So from an award standpoint, you're looking at, for the small business set-asides, 25 awards per pool. Large business is going to be 15 awards, and then the commercial sector is 10 awards. Really more important at the domain level, you're going to have 50 awards per domain, and this is going to be across the technical services, the management advisory, RDT, research development, technology, emerging IT services, and foundational IT services. What's going to be so important is the qualified projects that are used and or that align with each domain. If there is not a clear path of why those QPs are being submitted, you're not going to get on to this solicitation or into this contract. And the government has made it clear this is competitive, and the highest scores in each domain, each pool or set aside is going to win. So it's going to be important, of the probably 108 to 110,000 point ceiling, that you're as close to those maximums as you can get. So, and again, the biggest difference is MAPS is just not for the large companies. There, it is definitely competitive, and they are making an effort to make it so that small businesses can qualify and take advantage of the $50 billion of obligated funding. For the different business types, so let's put these into 3 categories again: large or enterprise, small, and then commercial. There are non-negotiable requirements, things you have to have. What I will share is that some of these requirements you may be able to wait or have them in place upon award. So for both large and small, you do have to have a minimum of a secret facility clearance, a certified accounting and purchasing system, certain ISO certs, CMMC level 2 or higher, and then the CPARs. And the CPARs are also going to have a big emphasis put on those. You have to have at least marginal ratings or better, and there'll be a maximum of 5 CPARs that you can provide. And for Team OST, if any questions come up that you would like me to respond to as I'm going through the slides, we could do that as well. This one is a very nuanced solicitation, so I expect there to be some good technical questions. The service domains, we did mention the 5 prior, which are listed here. It's the 29 or so sub areas that are also going to be very critical to your planning, consideration, and response. They're listed here. Everybody that is signed up or attending today's webinar will get a copy of this slide deck, and we could go into a sort of more detailed conversation around those subcategories as a result of this information that's being provided. So I mentioned earlier about the scorecard. There's nothing that's more critical to your consideration for moving forward with this. And it's a bit complicated. It's a big scorecard. With like most scorecards, even Oasis Plus, now we have the DoD SOF Global Services Delivery contract that's about to be released. It is important that you maximize your points. Your points will count and you can qualify all the things that you're providing for that point system. And Army Maps is no different. If anything, in my opinion, it is probably a smaller level of effort than the other two contracts I mentioned, but at the same time, more nuanced and more complicated. So large businesses will have a maximum of 110,000 points. Small business will have a maximum of 108,000 points. And the QPs and the CPARs are going to give you your highest point options. One thing in particular, and this will also be listed in the presentation as we get a little further into this, is that as of right now, all indications are that subcontracting QPs and past performance are not acceptable. That's big, and that could really make it difficult for some small businesses to qualify. Saying that, what we can tell you is we've had some really good conversations with this client, and we think that's going to change with the final RFP release. As a matter of fact, I believe even GovWin has intimated this and some other sources as well. So that will be a game changer once they make that announcement. Also, the current scorecard is probably not final, and that will also change. If they allow teaming, you can make a bet that's going to change the way this is scored or how you use your QPs and your partners' QPs. Each QP, which is a contract, a task order, and I want to annotate, including task orders with federal supply schedules like mass, etc. They have to have a minimum value of $2.5 million. They have to have they have to be active, excuse me, for 1 year of performance, and they have to be within 4 years of delivery from the final solicitation date of for this RFP release. The NAICS piece of this will also be extremely important that they align accordingly with domains, the sub areas, and your contracts. From our perspective, as somewhat subject matter experts with this solicitation, it's pretty black and white. It's pass or fail. We should be able to tell you pretty much upfront if you need this justification or guidance if you meet the minimum requirements. Admittingly, if you can get through the first non-negotiables, then the second part of this would require maybe 4 to 6, 4 to 8 hours max, depending on the number of domains you're looking at and or set asides to qualify you. So let's talk about the scorecard and the ratings. This is, again, subject to change, but very important. For the government approved systems agreements and certifications, there is a 10 to 12,000 point range that you can get. Going back to the 110 to 108,000 maximum, this has to make you wonder, where am I going to get all my points? Well, that'll be along the lines of the QPs, and we'll talk about that next. But this is critical. So this is the list of where you can get those points. It's pretty black and white and a little bit simpler for the smaller businesses, because as long as you have the systems, the appropriate clearance, and by the way, you'll notice there's a TSFCL listing, which differs from the secret. You get extra points if you have the top secret. So pretty black and white. And I think that this will be the easier part of the point system. And going into the past performance and the QPs, this is where you have to put the biggest energy and you really need to maximize your points. I regularly share with our clients, people I get to meet, the biggest challenge with trying to do a scorecard is drinking your own bath water, giving yourself maximum points, or even sometimes missing points for areas that won't qualify for those points or that you could qualify that you're not aware of. And in a lot of the deliveries we do, like for Oasis Plus, for example, between the first on ramp and the current on ramp, I think we're assisting close to 50 clients now. There are a large number of these folks which are very educated and understanding of what Oasis Plus requires and how to fill out the scorecard, but they're not maximizing their points, or they are taking credit for things that would get them most likely disqualified because they'd miss the minimum points needed. Again, this isn't a minimum point requirement. This is competitive. And ultimately, the goal is to get as much or as many points as you can. And if you are not in the higher echelon, and we're going to say for smaller businesses in the 90 to 108,000 range, and for the larger businesses, similar 90 to 110,000 points, you're probably not going to get on because there's going to be a lot of competition there. So the past performance broken down, simply stated, it's looking at recency, relevancy, the NAICS alignment, the actual quality of delivery, 21,000 points max, dollar value, vacancy, and then the time to fill. And the vacancy and the time to fill rates have to do with the staffing, which are significant. So past performance is 90% of the total scoring weight, up to, excuse me, staffing metrics, vacancy and time to fill represents 51,000 of those points. Ultimately, you're talking about around 40% plus. So if you are solid with your staffing and or have good solutions, this is a good opportunity for you, assuming you have the past performance and the capabilities to support the domains and the subtitles. But there is no doubt that operations performance is critical to you being able to successfully submit a winning solution and qualify from a scorecard assessments. So the proposal requirements, and we're not sure if this is going to change, right now are pretty clear cut, pretty similar to what we see with a lot of solicitations. So most solicitations have their cover letter, right? So basically identifying all the company information that aligns with your company, and then the domains that you're targeting. The self-scoring card speaks for itself based on everything that we've identified, but that is a deliverable, and it is self-scoring with the understanding that the government is going to validate if your score is correct or if you're using your points accordingly. Volume 3, the system certs and agreements may not be bringing us the most points, but these are non-negotiables. So it's going to be very important that you have these minimum requirements. The QPs, again, we just identified, discussed that you're looking at almost 90% of your points are going to come from this. So very important. Cost and pricing, we don't think there's going to be a huge lift with this. There's a template that has to be filled out that's going to most likely require all the LCATs, rates, and they're going to be aligned with each domain. So a little bit more than maybe Oasis Plus, some of the other scorecard contracts, but not a heavy list. And then if you're a large business, you will have to have a subcontracting plan. We are wondering if the Army makes a change and allows small businesses to use subcontracting past performance, if this will also be a deliverable. If it is, it's a pretty standard template. Don't think it's going to be very big in nature. When it comes to the investment of time and money you're going to need to make for this delivery. The final page counts are not listed yet. As a matter of fact, they really haven't even identified what those page counts are going to be, less the technical volume, and it's going to be a bit complicated. They are saying that right now the tech volume has to be no more than 6 pages. That's going to be a challenge to make sure that we have a compliant and compelling narrative, even if that narrative is limited. So little more to come on that once the RFP drops, but they are not budging from what they're stating, which is again 6 pages for that deliverable. Been sort of hammering home the teaming and the subcontracting requirements. So, but worth noting, if you're a large, it's going to be acceptable. If you are small right now, it isn't. I do believe that it's always dangerous to put the cart in front of the horse or to spend extra time for something that may not materialize. This is the exception. I do think there is a benefit to, while doing the scorecard, if you're doing it yourself or if OST is helping deliver this for you, that subcontracting past performance and capabilities are considered, especially in those areas where you may be just barely getting to the points needed or not able to get to those minimum point thresholds. As we are going to deliver this, and we are right now for some of our clients, we are performing this exercise. It is a very little time investment and money investment. So it'll probably cost our clients an extra hour to an hour and a half of time for us to do this. We are also looking at our teaming portal of 200 plus companies to determine who's going to be a good fit for the clients that we are supporting. And a repetitive statement that I make in these webinars, but very important to us, is we're not just looking at who's going to be able to provide you with a technical advantage. No, we want to make sure it's a good fit, synergies, cultural. We don't want to lose you as a client. We don't want to lose them as a client. We've been doing this for many years. It's been very successful, very successful. Outside of the Army map solicitation, I will say that you have the opportunity to work with us if you need a partner. On our website, we do have a link on the main page that allows you to go in there and register. Once you've done this, let's have a conversation. You just need to let us know what kind of partner you need, set aside status, past performance, geographic location, whatever it is. If we have it, we'll work with you and them to determine if we can make a match. In addition, if you go into our teaming portal and add all of your client information, which is protected and not shared without your permission, if one of our 120 plus active clients come to us and are looking for something that you offer and can do or have as past performance, we'll reach out to you to see if you have an interest in meeting them. So again, my opinion is that it is going to be advantageous to you and or the partners we're supporting to take into consideration teaming solutions, subcontracting, because all indications are this is going to be an option. And with there being a huge emphasis on the higher the score, the more likely you're going to win. We need to get every point we can. You need to get every point you can. All right. So key points about this solicitation: 5 domains, 29 subcategories. Whichever ones you target have to be aligned to your NAICS. And the Army has put out a statement, and I didn't put this in quotes, but I agree with it. Domain strategy matters. Just don't assume the more you have, the better it's going to be, or the more likely you're going to get on this. We've talked about those maximum points and how important it is to get to that 110,000 or as close as we can if you're a large business. Same with small business for 108,000 points. It is beyond critical that you have the appropriate facility clearance or will have that approved before award. You have the appropriate certifications and CPARs that are going to be needed as a minimum requirement. The RFP is coming out in the second quarter. Waiting till the second quarter is dangerous, to be honest, especially with this being as competitive as it is. Competitive is a interesting word when I tell you that there's going to be 250 awards. In theory, though, there's going to be a lot of companies we know that are targeting this solicitation. Our expectation alone is that we'll probably have 40 to 50 companies that we're supporting before this RFP drops. And in the event you're not aware, and I didn't really go into great detail about this, OST Global Solutions has been in business for 20 plus years. We're a small woman-owned business. We are considered in the top 4 or 5 of all the companies that are out there that support business development. One of the bigger differentiators for us is that we win 85% of the time when we are delivering proposals. And I want everybody to understand it's very important for us that our clients can win. Because if you're not winning, you've wasted your investment and we haven't done what we needed to do to help you succeed. Ultimately, we deliver about 300 proposals a year. I think there's about 115 or so on average that we lead. Those are the ones that we count towards winning. On ramps are included. In the event you're not aware, when it comes to these type of solicitations and on ramps, it is beyond important you get on the schedule or the vehicle. But what's even more important is then you can have a targeted response or plan to win task orders. That's where you're going to make your money. And as a result of wanting to meet that milestone or those objectives, it's not just watching for task orders, it's sort of finding a way to get in front of the right people. We help our clients identify who's in the offices that are going to be working within MAPS and also what their interests are, what their history has been with the type of task orders or solicitations that they've released or are supporting. This gives you a chance to create a white paper, a presentation, to talk to them and hopefully get a sole source opportunity at a minimum. That would be the easiest way to generate revenue. One other big critical component for this is all indications are if you get on to this on or successfully on ramp with a domain, you have to bid 50% of the task orders in that domain. That's big, but it's attainable. I'm not so much trying today to sell you our solutions and our services, but I am here to tell you how we can help you meet these objectives. And ultimately, we currently have a monthly service that we'll get to in a little bit towards the end of this presentation. And that service assists the management of schedules, identifying of task orders, and responding to those. If you would like more information around that, please feel free to schedule a meeting with me and I could share how we can help you with that. Okay, so top 6 solicitations outside of Army MAPS. The store, which is the CIO CS follow-on. As some of you may be aware, recent news was released regarding CIO SP4, and unfortunately, they've killed this vehicle schedule. It's very disappointing to us. We helped probably 20 plus companies, and we're sorry to see that the effort that they exuded did not lead to them getting on to that vehicle. But I think that aligns with the government, this administration, looking to minimize the amount of vehicles that are out or consolidate and make it more efficient for companies, including small companies, to be able to bid on task orders. Still disappointing, I think, for those of you that went through this. The store is going to maybe consolidate some of CIO SP4 as well as some of these other contracts, Oasis Plus included. Omnibus 4, if you are a healthcare biological organization doing research and development, something you definitely want to take a look at. The HRS Gen 4 is also along those lines. 2JIT and GSA Ascend, other big solicitations and vehicles that you want to look at. $108 billion in total funding. Right now, Oasis Plus is out. The rest are scheduled for release, and it's pretty clear what you have to do to get on these. We do have that information if you'd like to have a conversation around that, but we strongly suggest that you look at these schedules and options, which are either all under GSA or potentially going to be under GSA eventually. In addition, if you're not on mass, that would be another schedule that we would suggest you look at. You want to make sure that you have the appropriate SINs. If you're already on there, consider what SINs are being used and where you can add additional SINs and how to do that. OST actually has one of the top GSA SMEs in the industry. She was with GSA and she is currently actively supporting them with all the changes that are ongoing. We typically provide a full on-ramp for GSA Mass for around $3,000 to $12,000. That's a big range. The 3,000 is if our clients would like to do the writing themselves. The 12,000, which occurs typically over 3 to 4 months. So it's not an upfront cost. It's basically invoiced weekly. Ultimately is us doing the full turnkey and working directly with the GSA. We have 100% win rate doing this. In addition, we help our clients get their SINs updated or changed, and that's typically about $1,000 to $3,000 of a T&M solutioning. So that could be something that you have interest with. So how can OST help you outside of all of the things I've already shared? We can do gap analyses, including with maps, to help you figure out where you need that partner, to be transparent when it comes to scorecard deliveries. Those scorecards are already a gap analysis, so I don't really think there's an extra deliverable that's needed there. The teaming strategies is important across the board. As small businesses, I think you all know how teaming can increase your P-win and or generate new business for you. But in light of 2025 and the lack of solicitations, task orders, and opportunities, teaming definitely is the best focus. And though we're seeing an uptick in business with the government, 2026 is still going to be challenging. And we are, without a doubt, helping our clients build teaming solutions, even if there isn't a solicitation or task order aligned with those opportunities. Win theme development is also something that is not always on everybody's radar. But if you're doing a gap analysis, a scorecard, and then looking at how you can team with somebody to win, you want to make sure you're creating that upfront and you already have that platform to build that winning solution or submission. We can help with the scorecard review and guidance. Right now, for most of our clients, we're doing this for about 4 to 8 hours at about, on average, $175 an hour. As you can see, I'm being very transparent on what the investment is for these type of deliverables. It does vary. It depends again on the amount of domains, subcategories, and or what kind of NAICS considerations are being used, but it's not very big of an investment. For Oasis Plus, in the event you're working that or considering that, it's a little bit more, probably about 8 to 12 hours. But that's typically for 3 pools and 4 to 5 categories. And then the prior, draft, or final RFP delivery. So the reason we list this as prior, draft, or final is even if an RFP is not out, we can use those other articles to create the plan forward, including annotated outlines, a compliance matrix, scheduling plans, etc. Most of the business that OST delivers for their clients, a good portion, probably about 70% of our business, is proposal management, writing, desktop publishing, graphics, cost, and pricing. And if the better option is for you to have an expert like us look at what you're doing so that you are not drinking your own bathwater, we do offer compliance, SMEs, and solutions. Right now, we're doing a couple of things we're offering for the beginning of the year. One is our Bid and Proposal Academy, which consists of 18 courses on demand, some live training, corporate training. We do have a sale going on for the on demand and the live training courses. It's 50% off. That is going to end soon. If that interests you, you might want to jump on our website and take advantage of that. If you buy multiple courses or multiple licenses, we will also offer you group discounts. If you sign up for OST's GovCon Catalyst monthly pipeline retainer services, we'll give you a free scorecard assessment, regardless if it's OASIS, MAPS, or the DoD SOF Global Services Delivery. To be fair, you probably can get all of these under those services if needed. That's a conversation that we could have around your leisure if that interests you. All right. So in the slide deck, we're going to provide you with all of these links. If you're not already subscribed to our newsletters, please do. There's wonderful information that we provide about active solicitations, changes in the government, things that now we're offering that could help you improve your win rates with your GovCon activities, as well as target other opportunities. The teaming portal link will be included in here as well, and you have my contact information. And please reach out, welcome the conversations, and want to help. We are big small business champions, and as you can tell, I'm making an assumption that the majority of the people that are in this webinar today are small businesses. As a small business, it is our job and our duty to make sure that the GovCon space, small business especially, succeeds. Sophia, do we have any questions that I might be able to respond to?
David has done a wonderful job responding in the chat, but I assume there probably are some questions. Do you want me to open it up to participants?
Please, and thank you.
All right. If there are any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat.
The chat.
You can also unmute yourself if you'd like to ask it out loud.
And David, thank you for all the responses that you've provided. All right. I don't hear any questions or see any questions. Well, thank you again for your time. Looking forward to hopefully having extended conversations. Don't be a stranger. If you have any questions regarding maps or anything else that's going on in the government or OST solutions, and definitely looking forward to seeing a whole bunch of you get on maps and win. Thank you.